Hey guys, welcome back. So today is a video that I am excited about, but also a little scared, a little nervous. I thought that I would finally show you guys an up close and personal look at my full book collection, aka a bookshelf tour. Now, if you follow me on Instagram and or TikTok, then the shelves behind me will look very, very, very familiar. They're the ones that I usually pose in front of. They're the ones in almost all of my content. These are the really large Billy bookcases from IKEA. I think most people have them, or at least a lot of people have them. Mine have the additional attachment at the top because I have really high ceilings, which you will be able to see in the video. So they're about I think they're about 12 feet tall ish. But I actually have a total of five bookcases. And frankly, I should probably get a sixth here soon. But where I would put it is lost to me just because of the layout and the nature of my condo. Not really sure where I'd put it. But here we are. Now, right from the start, I just want to say if you are expecting this video to show the perfectly organized bookshelves that you see in some of these amazing content creators' videos, the amazing aesthetic, the bookshelves that have all of the cute little knickknacks and trinkets on them, meticulously organized. They look like they belong in fairy tale storybook or like in a professional library. This is not the video for you. Listen, my bookshelf organization is hanging on by a thread. I am doing my best. It's going to become very obvious very quickly that my organization is not it's not the best. Let's just say it that way. Like there is a method to the madness absolutely, and I know for the most part where everything is. There is a designated shelf or section where a book will go. And I will explain how I organize everything in the following footage. But my bookshelves are just absolute chaos at any given time. And I thought, I held off making this video for a little bit because I kept thinking, well, I really want to make sure that my bookshelves look a little bit better or just a little bit more appealing to the eye. But I figured, screw it. I'm just going to show you what they look like now. This is usually what they look like. I do probably a reorganization of them about twice a year, maybe. And then about once every couple of years I do a big unhaul. So I have more room on some of my shelves because at the end of 2023 I did a massive unhaul. Also just want to point out that I have a lot of books. I think my collection is now, I haven't actually counted, but I believe my collection is now at 1,000 books or more. Books make me happy. Books are my entire life. Like, it's not just my social media presence, but I also actually work for a book publishing company. It is my main hobby. It's really all that I do. So, yes, you're going to see that I have a lot of books. But again, like I said, reading makes me happy, but also collecting books makes me happy. And I think that some people forget that reading books and collecting books are actually two different hobbies. Often they go hand in hand, but sometimes they don't. And that just depends on the person, right? Something else I want to point out too, because I already filmed the footage of me going through every shelf. You're going to notice that I did not go through every single book and take every single book out on every single shelf. There's no way in hell I was going to do that. Otherwise, we would be here for another month. So, for your sanity, for my sanity, I did not do that. But if at any point in the video you would like to see the shelf more closely and look at every individual book, by all means, please just pause it and take a gander. Also, as I mentioned before, these shelves behind me are massive, about 12 feet tall, and I am 5'1". I'm 5'1". You're only seeing a section of them, but you'll see my first clip. I zoom way out so you can see them in full. And me trying to get my ass up there at the top so you could see the books that I have up there it was a journey, and I did my best. Okay, so I'm going to shut up now. Let's get straight into it. So here is a better look at
my main two shelves from far away. They are very, very tall, as you can see. They're about, I think that's 12 feet tall, I want to say. So these are the tallest belly shelves you can get from IKEA. I have to use a step stool in order to get to basically the top two rows, which you can see is off to the side right here. So I'll have to use that in just a second. But I wanted to give y'all a better look at this. If you follow me on Instagram, again, you'll have seen these the most often. They're the ones that's in most of my content just because they're a little bit more organized than the rest of my bookshelves. You can see one of my other bookshelves over there, which will go to, again, any of my TBR jar videos. You'll see that one in my bedroom. But as a reminder, these hold all of my fantasy and all of my romance books that I have read. Every single book that I'm going to show you first, so the first four bookshelves, are all books that I've read that I own. So, yeah, I will go through each shelf and kind of show you what's there, and then we will move right along. So, at the very top up here, we have all of my Tolkien books, my Tolkien collection. There's my little Smog Funko Pop right there. He's cute. I'm not one to have multiple copies of the same book, and this kind of happened on accident, honestly. This set right here, the fake leather bound that you see, you can get these on Amazon. They're really popular. These were my first Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit and Lord of the Rings set that I got from my parents as a gift, and I got those years ago. And I read them, and they're great. They're really beautiful and aesthetically appealing, but they're really hard to read. Like if y'all have ever held a Bible or flipped through a Bible, you know how thin the paper is for Bibles? That's what this paper feels like for those books. So text was really tiny and it was just hard to read. So I then asked for these books one year, and I received The Hobbit through the Silmarillion for as a Christmas gift. I was gifted Unfinished Tales later on. This Lord of the Rings red bind up right here, I got from Half Price Books for like $7. These white hardbacks I got in the same book haul from Half Price Books that I did the red bind up here. But these are 50 anniversary editions, 50 anniversary of The Hobbit. So these are from the 80s and they were like in pristine condition. So I had to have them. These right here are the like YA styled book covers that came out a few years ago. I went back and forth on whether I should get them. I told myself I didn't need them, but I lost that battle with myself and I wanted them and they bring me a lot of joy. This was gifted to me by a follower. And then these right here were gifted to me by a dear friend. They're really, really old, well loved, used editions of Fellowship, Two Towers, and Return of the King, and I love them very much. Two different people gave me these. The top one of the Nature of Middle Earth, the top one is paperback, the bottom one is hardback, and they didn't know they were both getting me them. So I will probably give away one of them. I haven't decided which one yet. And then we've got a couple miscellaneous ones over here. This bottom one right here, the big book, that is the original Hobbit book that my dad read to me when I was like 5 or 6, and he wrote in it, and it's beautifully illustrated. We've got the Fall of Gondolin next, and then the Children of Húrin, and then we've got a couple more just kind of miscellaneous books up there. So yeah, this is my little Middle Earth Lord of the Rings collection. So here we have the first shelf, and by the way, I organized these just like you would see them in a library or a bookstore. So they're alphabetized by the author's last name, but they're definitely not perfect. So as you can see, we've got Leigh Bardugo up here. We've got Tony Adeyemi. We've got Jennifer L. Armentrout, Joe Abercrombie, L.B. Benson, Josiah Bancroft, Brom. The list goes on. We've also got Travis Baldree as well. So yeah, honestly, these are just shoved in here by how best they fit. I am looking for the best way to shelve these by room. I'm literally just trying to get all of these to just fit on the shelves. So here's the first shelf. And here's the second shelf. Again, we've got some Holly Black, we've got Pierce Brown, we've got Libba Beret, Carissa Broadbent, S.A. Chakraborty, C.A. Farron, Ruby Dixon.
Again, if you guys want to pause this and look at all of them individually, please feel free to do so. I'm also kind of sorry for the shaky camera. I can't get my tripod to go up this high. All right, here's the third shelf. So we've got a lot of Cassandra Clare on this shelf. I think I've gone back and forth about whether to keep these or not. I mean, the City of Bones, like the whole Mortal Instruments series, was just such a big part of my early teenager years, so they bring me a lot of joy. But for more recent work, hasn't really been my favorite. I'll be honest with you. Like Chain of Gold and Chain of Iron were all right. I was kind of bored mostly in Chain of Iron, and then I'm not going to read the third one in the series. But anyway, you can see they're all here. And then we've got The Faithful and the Fallen, first three books in that series by John Gwynne. I am about to start book 4, but and then we've got a couple of random ones in here. We've got The Wicked Deep by Shay Earnshaw, and then we've got The Library of the Unwritten by A.J. Hackworth. Next, we've got a pretty full shelf. Again, this is going to be more fantasy. Some sci-fi is thrown into these shelves as well. But we've got Elise Kova. We've got The Jessed Heir by Sarah Hashem. That was one of my favorite reads last year. We've got the first 3 books by Robin Hobb in the Realm of the Elderlings epic saga. We've got several Laurel K. Hamilton books too. This is a really this series right here is a really really long paranormal romance series. I only read the first 6 and then I was kind of done after that. But then you'll notice, sorry for the shaky camera guys, behind we've got the Sookie Stackhouse series. I did read all 13 of these books back in high school because I liked the show. I still love the show True Blood. It's terrible and one of my greatest guilty pleasures, so I don't want to hear it. But yeah, we've got N.K. Jemisin, T.J. Klune, James Islington. Anyway, so yeah, a pretty packed shelf. All right, I got my tripod out now. It's tall enough to reach the rest of the book. So again, thank you for your patience and apologies for the shakiness of the first few clips. But we've got a lot of well loved and very well known books on this particular shelf. We've got Raven Kennedy and her Plated Prisoner series. We've got more Elise Kova. We've got Jay Kristoff. We've got Scott Lynch, and then we've also got R.F. Kwong, and we also have my little dagger that I thought was fitting to put in front of any Jay Kristoff books. I did read Jade City, and I I wasn't as blown away by it as I was hoping to, but I also think I should give it a reread and then try reading the sequel. Y'all let me know if you've read that series because I know a lot of people really, really love it, and I feel like I should give it another shot, just as a side note. And then we have Sarah J. Maas. She's all on this shelf. But we've got other books on here too. Game of Thrones. I just finished Clash of Kings literally yesterday, so I'm stacking them there for now. But we've got some other books thrown in here too, like The Last Magician and Grave Mercy, which those were both series that I started and like I liked both of them. I liked the first books really actually a lot. And then for both of these series, the second book I read and wasn't quite as enthralled, so I'm not going to continue with the series, but I still really like them, so they're on my shelf. You can probably start to see these are not like these are all stacked very bizarrely, but it's literally I just need to get them to fit on the shelves as tightly and neatly as I possibly can. Moving right along, we've got a lot of YA childhood books on this shelf. We've got Twilight and we've got the Revenant Chronicles. We've also got the Lunar Chronicles. We've got Divergent. And of course, we have Harry Potter as well. Divine Rivals lives here. And then we have The Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss, which is one of my favorite fantasy series. I hope that he finishes it. This red sprayed edge copy right here. It's actually The Name of the Wind also, but it's the 10th anniversary edition. So there are like a lot of really, really beautiful illustrations in there. And so again, that's one of the exceptions to me besides Lord of the Rings of owning multiple copies. But I asked for that for Christmas one year because I just thought it was gorgeous and I had to have it. And then we've also got a couple of we've got a couple up here at the top, a couple of self-published books as well. This next shelf is basically a Brandon Sanderson shrine. I prefer to get all of Brandon Sanderson's UK editions of his books just because I think that they are
really, really beautiful. And I love how, despite them all being different series, you can tell they're all designed to look like the same author and like same branding and such, but they're distinct from one another by the accent color that they use. So, really, really beautiful copies. I love these. I have these shipped in from the UK. I order them. I used to order them from the Book Depository, RIP, but they are no longer in business. So now I'll have to get them from Waterstones, I'm guessing. But then we've also got the Scythe series. We've also got Alison Saft on here. And then we've also got three of the Witcher books. And then we have Brilliance by Marcus Seiki. But yes, basically Brandon Sanderson Shrine. All right, so this next shelf, we've got a lot of V.E. Schwab. I love V.E. Schwab. My favorite series of hers is the Dark Shade of Magic series. It's brilliant. Then we've got a lot of self-published books or indie authors on this shelf as well. We've got Scarlett St. Clair. We've got KJ Sutton. We've also got Samantha Shannon, who's another one of my favorite authors. So we have Priory of the Orange Tree on here, and we've got her Bone Season series, which I feel like some people don't like that series. I love that series, so I cannot wait for book 5. And then we've also got the Daughter of Smoke and Bone series by Laini Taylor. I loved that series so much. I had such a good time with it, and I just love Laini Taylor's writing. So I really, really hope we get more from her soon because I just don't feel like we see her around as much anymore. Now, this shelf is kind of half and half because we are reaching the end of my fantasy books and now bleeding into the romance books. So, on the left, we've got more Laini Taylor. This is the Strange the Dreamer duology, an incredible duology. Such a beautiful story. I really, really liked those books a lot. We've got the first two books in J.R. Ward's series, which I believe is called the Black Dagger Brotherhood. I have the third one. I will read it. The one underneath it is kind of hard to see because of the glare from the sun, but this is the Sword of Kaigen, which I feel like everybody's been talking about again recently. It is just as good as everybody says. We've got the first two books in Brent Weeks's series, the Lightbringer series. I have the third one. I don't know if I'm gonna read it though. I put the third one in my series TBR jar, my little one. So I might get to it. I'm not sure. But and then of course we have Fourth Wing and Iron Flame, which I didn't like. I thought Fourth Wing was just okay, and then I did not like Iron Flame at all. So not sure how much longer I'm gonna actually keep these books, but for now they're here to stay. Then finally, we are getting into romance. So we've got Lauren Asher, we've got Elena Armas, we've got all of my Tessa Bailey, which, if you watched my favorite romances of all time, you'll know that I love Tessa Bailey. So, yeah, I have a lot of her books. And then we keep going. We've got Jen DeLuca on this shelf. We've got Talia Hibbert. We've got some Beth O'Leary. We've got Icebreaker by Hannah Grace here. We've got several Colleen Hoover books. We've got B.K. Borison, Helen Huang, Lily Gold, Emily Henry. And again, all of these are sort of organized by last name of the author. So alphabetized in that way. Again, it's not perfect. It's just at least everything is in some sort of order so that I know where to find it. And I am sorry about the glare from the sun on these guys. Anyway, yeah, and then we've got a few miscellaneous ones thrown in there as always. We've got Corrupt by Penelope Douglas. That is the only book by Penelope Douglas that I've read. I liked it more than I thought I would. I will tell you that. And I have the next book, which I think is Hideaway, on my TBR shelf, so I will probably get to that at some point. Who knows? Oh, also the Love Hypothesis and Love Theoretically is down there. I also have Love on the Brain by Ali Hazelwood, but it's not on this shelf, and I will show you why in a bit. And then we have more. Again, I think a lot of these are going to look really familiar to a lot of people. We've got 50 Shades of Grey. Why do I keep those books? Kind of because I think it's funny, but we have them. They're here. A lot of self-published books and frankly underrated books, but we've got a lot of Anna Huang on here too. We've got Christina Lauren, Mia Sheridan, Phantom by Greer Rivers, and Hooked by Emily McIntyre. Actually enjoyed both of those, and I think those kind of gear more towards the dark romance vibe. Also, the Vernon City series, this first one is The Lazarus. That is by Marlowe Locker, and I really liked that. That was suggested to me by an author friend, and I really, really liked it a lot. So I definitely recommend checking that out. And I know it's kind of dark, I'm sorry, but I'm trying to stand in front of the sun so that there's not a glare. This video is kind of a mess, but that's okay. And then we've got Flock and Exodus over on the right there. I should probably get rid of those because honestly, I did not. Flock was okay, and I thought Exodus was absolutely ridiculous. Well, didn't I was like, I'm not reading the third one, so I'll probably get rid of those actually, now that I think about it. But okay, we are in the home stretch for these shelves now. These bottom two are kind of miscellaneous and kind of random. This stack over here to the left, those are still romances that I have, and again, these are just names that are later in the alphabet that are just stacked up right there. But these books right here, you can see I have the Sister of the Traveling Pants, Kaikei is I think that's how you pronounce it. Stone Blind, Hello Beautiful, and then Ordinary Monsters. These are just kind of bleeding over because they don't fit on my shelf that I've designated to go towards where general fiction lives or historical fiction, which we will get to that shelf next. And then I just finished Ordinary Monsters, so I just put that there because it's not going to fit higher up in the shelf. And then finally, we have my last shelf, which has all of my book of the month books that I have read. Again, I have more book of the month books that are on my TBR bookcase that you'll see that I just haven't gotten to yet or haven't read. So that's why you can see Love on the Brain lives here. Now, this was a new decision that I decided to make. I'm not sure how I feel about it. It's just that I own so many paperbacks and I prefer paperbacks over hardbacks if I'm being honest. But I kind of like being able to see all of my book of the month books here. But again, not quite sure how I feel about it. I'm just going to try it out for a little while. And if I need the room, I mean, the books still have to go somewhere, so I'll figure it out. But yeah, these are all the book of the month books that I have read. And that completes my main two biggest shelves, the ones that y'all see all the time. Again, that was just fantasy and romance. So now we're going to get into the rest of my shelves, which, if you can believe it, are even messier. Okay, so this is my work desk. I work from home, so I spend a lot of time sitting at this desk in that chair. And as you can see, there are books literally just overflowing to the left. I got this desk from Amazon. It was relatively cheap. I've had it for gosh, like 3.5 years at this point. I got it because I needed it when I started working from home after COVID. This, guys, this is really when things start to get chaotic, okay? Chances are, if it's on this shelf, I won't be able to find it very easily unless it's one of the books facing out that you can see laying on its side. So I'm going to do my best to take you through each shelf. It's going to start to get kind of hard to see at the bottom. But this is my life. This is me trying to fit all these books that I love and I really, well, not all of them, but doing my best, doing my best. So let's get into it, shall we? Oh, and I forgot to mention, most important bit, these are all of my horror slash thriller slash general fiction slash historical fiction books. So again, really just a lot of different books live over here. They used to be more organized than they are now, but frankly, I gotta tell y'all, I take books out to use them for content so much that and then have to put them back that they never stay perfectly organized for long. And I wanted to show y'all just a very real representation of what my place looks like and my book organization, if you can call it that. So, anyway, now we can get started. So, these first two, I'm trying to give you kind of a brief overview of what's on here. I'll also zoom in and do a closer look for you as well. But like I said before, we've got general fiction on these shelves, we've got historical fiction, we've got classics, we've got horror, we've got thriller, just a jumbled mess of a lot of things. And as you can see from these top books that I have been just putting on there as I read them, I just put them on top. So let me zoom in a little bit and get a different angle so you guys can just get a closer look. All right, I took it off the tripod, so it's going to be a little shaky, but hopefully you can bear with me. But yeah, not sure where to start, but you can just kind of see that lots of different books are on here, lots of known books and well-known books. Maybe some of them are going to be newer to you. This started out as me trying to organize it by last name of the author, but as you can see, that did not last very long. So these are all just kind of shoved in here. And then as we move down, here are the books that you can see the spines of. Shadow of the Wind series by Carlos Ruiz Zafón. Those are some of my favorite books of all time, so I wanted to make sure that I could see them, especially The Labyrinth of the Spirits, just because I think that spine is gorgeous. And then on the desk itself, the Outlander series is kind of in the back. Again, I have the next book in that series. I just haven't read it. We've got Jane Eyre, The Red Tent, All the Light We Cannot See, The Vanishing Half, Color Purple. So lots of books here that are probably pretty well known. Then moving on down, we've got the big chunker, Les Mis. Catcher in the Rye is also there. I kind of keep that out of spite. I hate that book, but kind of like to just have it just to remind me in case I forget. But lots of other really good books here. Then we're going to get into the Dark Cave. Hopefully you can see some of these, but lots of really, really good books down here too. We've got A Little Life. I actually hated that book, but I'll talk about that in another video. The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. The Henna Artist, Pachinko. The Book Thief is back there too. We've also got both of Madeline Miller's books that I own, Song of Achilles and Circe. Book of Longing by Sue Monk Kidd. The Half Drowned King. The 13th Tale. Picture of Dorian Gray, No Country for Old Men. Lord of Flies is up there too. It's kind of hard to see. So, yeah, lots of classics are on here as well. And then finally, we have a lot of hardbacks down here for some reason, but it just keeps going. The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo is down there at the bottom. We've got Kate Moss's series. That's a really, really good series, honestly, that I don't think is all that well known. I really like Kate Moss's writing. We've got several thrillers that I enjoyed. And then unfortunately, that big box that you see is to help with sound for my TV. So unfortunately, that has to live there and takes up some space. But yeah, you can see the rest of the books that I have down here. Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow, Mary, Hidden Pictures, The Villa, The Wolf Den, and The Bronze Horseman. Oh, and I'm thinking of ending things. So yeah, I know that was a big, big mess because it is a big mess. And I'm sure you're wondering, Danielle, how do you find anything? I don't. I live in chaos constantly. So, with that being said, let's move on to the next shelf. Okay, so this next shelf is an even messier culmination of lots of different kinds of books, and I will try to take you through them as best I can. But this shelf has it's a flow over of thrillers and gen fiction, but then we've also got in horror. But it's also I have my nonfiction lives on this shelf as well. My plays, my poetry, and Greek mythology, along with some wine books. So I will show you all of that. So there at the top are actually just some books that I got from Ireland, and they have different things like love letters and Irish songs and tales about wild Irish women, which I love, and ghost stories, and yeah, just various things that I picked up in my trip over there. This first shelf, we have all of my Stephen King books that I've read. And then, like I said, just an overflow of horror and gen fiction and thriller books. So you'll see Frida McFadden is over here, Lisa Jewell, Mary Kay Andrews. We've got Alex Michaelides' newest book, The Fury, that I wasn't a huge fan of, honestly. What Lies Between Us by John Mars. Really well known popular books. This next shelf is mostly going to be where we get into nonfiction. So we've got a couple on the very left, we've got a couple of random fiction books that were just overflowing, but this shelf hosts and the next shelf as well hosts pretty much all nonfiction. That means self help or self development, business books, history, and memoirs. All of it will live right here. So this next shelf, again, it gets a little messy, but on the right we have more nonfiction books. Those are all going to be mostly like self help business
books. And then in the middle right there, we've got poetry. So like Rupi Kaur, that's where her books live. And then on the left, we have my Shakespeare. So that big red book is just all of Shakespeare's plays and sonnets. And then we have a couple of playbooks from when I saw two shows at the Globe in London. And then we've got As You Like It and The Tempest. Those are just really specific versions of the plays. And then those teeny tiny books that are stacked, the brown books, are again they're really old. I don't even remember where I got those, but those are all each an individual plays. Moving down one shelf, we have more plays. Of course, this was all from my theater days, and so had to read a ton of plays in college. This isn't even all of them, these are just the ones that I decided to keep. But you'll notice we also have Dante's Inferno here, we've got Pygmalion, we've got Euripides and the Odyssey. So we're kind of dipping into Greek plays as well. And then last but not least, again, just kind of more miscellaneous things, but I have a lot of wine books since I like to be educated and self educate with wine. And then we've got another version of Dante's Inferno, but it's the whole Divine Comedy. So all three of them are in there, and it's a beautiful Barnes and Noble edition, I believe, or it's just a special edition. Maybe it's actually no, I'm sorry, it's Penguin, not Barnes and Noble specifically. And then we've got more Greek plays to the right there. So yeah, again, this is a really messy shelf. It's barely organized, but it's just my miscellaneous books that I don't reach for very much, which is why it's also hidden behind this wall in my bedroom. But as you can see, I have more than just fantasy and romance books. So let's go to the final shelf.
And then last, but certainly not least, my TBR bookcase, my corner of shame. This, I'm literally like backed outside of my room right now so I could get the entire thing in frame. Yeah, this is ridiculous. I know. It is organized in a fashion. I did reorganize this one shelf for this video, one because honestly I needed to do it anyway, but also just so that you guys could more accurately see everything. As you can see, I do have a bar cart that I got to help with the overflow of books on the ground, but it didn't really help all that much. So I might get a second bar cart just to get them off the floor. Yeah, like I said, they are slightly organized by genre. So let me just go right in so that you can see everything more up close. So that very top shelf has basically just contemporary romance. There are a few of those up there that are kind of like romantasy esque, but not like super heavy on the fantasy element. So for the most part, every romance book that I have that I haven't read yet is going to be up there. Then this next shelf down is going to start bleeding into general fiction and historical fiction. As you can see, we've got some books stacked in the back there as well. This next shelf is kind of a combination of different things. It's mostly going to be thrillers, which are actually going to be stacked in the back there, those hardcovers, and then into this. But we've got a couple of things bleeding in here. We've got some fantasy meshed in here, like Game of Thrones and Black Dagger Brotherhood, and then Percy Jackson series. I want to reread. I've read the first four like back in high school, but I want to reread all of them, which is why they're on this shelf. We've got the other two books in the Joe Abercrombie series. Yeah, like I said, we've got more thrillers down here. Then the next two shelves are going to be fantasy and sci-fi. These are jam packed. And these, like, you can even see if I move this stack right here. I'm gonna try to do it without hurting myself. But if I move this stack, you can see more books stacked back there. And so, yeah, a lot of books on that shelf. Same thing on this shelf. We've got some book of the month books there. Just more books I need to get to that are in the fantasy realm. If the lighting is different or the angle is different, that's because this is a different day. But I realized I never showed you guys behind this stack last time, like I did the previous shelf. So just wanted to give you a closer look to show that indeed there are more books behind these. Then we go down here. Here are more gen fiction or general fiction, historical fiction. This bottom shelf, so not all of these books here in front, but this bottom shelf right here is actually all of my nonfiction books that I haven't gotten to just yet. And then lastly, all of the books that you see here on the ground, and then the books in this bar cart are all books that have been specifically sent to me, whether it's by the authors themselves, by a publisher, by a subscription box, whatever it is. So these are not books that I have purchased myself. They've been sent to me by someone else, a third party, whatever. And again, this just kind of helps me mentally organized, like what I have purchased myself over the years, or like what I've been gifted over the years from friends and family versus like what's been sent to me. So that's how I've been organizing this for now. Frankly, I'm not sure if I will continue to organize it this way. And like I said before, the fact that all of these are overflowing on the floor really bothers me. So I'll probably get another bar cart here soon and try to get them off the floor. Yeah, that is a closer look at my TBR bookcase. Lots of books. I think it's close to 250 books in this corner alone, according to my TBR jar. Yeah, so I got to get to work. Here are my TBR jars, by the way. If you guys follow me on TikTok or Instagram, this will look really familiar to you. So this big jar right here holds all of my standalones that are on my TBR, like the beginnings of series. And then this small one is a new edition as of 2024, and this holds the sequels to series that I've started and I want to get to. So yeah, those live in here. So these jars actually live in between this shelf and then my TBR shelf.
And there you have it. That is my full book collection as of January of 2024. As you saw, there's some method to the madness. Like I said, it is organized in some fashion. It's just a little chaotic. That being said, though, I am very proud of the book collection that I have right now. It's not perfect, of course, but I don't need it to be. Being literally surrounded by books brings me so much joy, and I feel so very blessed that I've been able to have the means and opportunity to curate this collection that I have now. And I can't wait to continue building it and getting it to an even more robust selection in the future. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. More videos to come as always, and I will see you guys next time.